Hey y'all, welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be discussing sensing versus intuiting. Are you more of a sensor or more of an intuitive? If you're looking to find that out, you came to the right place. First of all, I want to say that everybody does both, so it's not like one is completely missing from someone's cognitive stack. In fact, sensing and intuition are on an axis with one another, and we both have, everyone of all types has both in their ego. One might outrank another. Intuitives, based on cognitive theory, would be someone that has intuition in the first or second slot. We all have 4 cognitive functions in our ego in order of preference. If intuition is one of the top 2 in yours, you're considered an intuitive. Sensors have one of the sensing functions in the top 2 of their function stack. But what does that actually mean? Like, what does that look like in real life? Well, I'm glad you asked. Sensors tend to process with the 5 senses. They tend to take in information and perceive based on what they see, smell, touch, taste, feel, all those things, and not feeling like emotional, like tactile, like feeling with your hands. They are very rooted in the present moment. There's a delivery guy at my door right now watching me film. That's not awkward at all. Intuitives use more of that 6th sense to process and perceive the world. They perceive based more on gut feeling and impression and big picture and like conceptualize things from a very kind of thousands of feet view, big picture. Intuitives focus on ideas, possibilities, deeper meanings. Intuitives tend to be very, very good at pattern recognition. Some questions to consider, whether you or someone you're trying to type, if you're trying to tell whether they're a sensor or intuitive. Are they more literal? Like, do they talk about things that literally just are? Or do they tend to use more like metaphorical language or hyperbole? For example, I am an intuitive, I'm an INFJ, and I will constantly use hyperbole to express myself, such as like, best day ever. And someone who is a sensor has often said to me, like, today, this was like better than your wedding day, or this is better than, this other day. I'm like, no, it's not literal. I'm just like exaggerating for emphasis to make a point. Are you adept at physical skills, such as like building things or making art, and more so like the physical arts, like fine art, building things, decorating things? Do you know how to make things look beautiful? Those are more of the extroverted sensing types, like the artisans, the makers. On the flip side, you might be intuitive if you prefer to discuss like concepts, theories, possibilities, and more of like the abstract. Do you enjoy things that involve interpretation and double meaning, such as like memes, puns, metaphors? If those are your jam, you're probably an intuitive. Like I mentioned at the top of the video, where these functions rank in your stack will determine how polarized you are. Sensing and intuition are on an axis with each other. They can go up and down in the same person depending on how we're responding to a situation or what's going on in our environment. People with sensing or intuition as their hero function, that is their go-to, their first function, tend to be more polarized because, for example, I'll take INFJ for example, because that's my type. Introverted intuition is our hero. That's our go-to. We are constantly like looking at our own future, like projecting things out. First function is always tied to the 4th. That is our hero and our inferior. We know that INFJs have a sensing as their inferior function. It has to be the opposite orientation as the hero. So as an introverted intuitive, we know that we have extroverted sensing inferior. It sounds like a lot of technical gobbledygook, but I promise it's going to help. For example, other intuitive DOMs, I've already said INFJ. INTJ is the same way. ENTP and ENFPs are extroverted intuitive DOMs. And so these 4 types it's going to be a lot clearer and a lot easier to see. Same for the sensing DOMs. That'd be like your ESTP and ESFP for extroverted sensing DOMs. For your introverted sensing DOMs, that'd be like the ISTJs and the ISFJs. Again, they're going to be very much more polarized towards sensing. The other 8 types, I'll flash them up on the screen. are going to be much less polarized, and it might be harder to tell. Because in cognitive theory, the parent and child functions, that is number 2 and number 3 in your stack, are automatically tied together, and they tend to be less polarized than our hero and inferior functions. Kind of technical, but hopefully that's making sense. Within the 2 overall types, there are a couple of type groupings, and a lot of times it helps to kind of figure out which group you fit into. The sensors have the guardians, which use introverted sensing in one of their top 2, and they have the artisans, which use extroverted sensing. Introverted sensing is going to be tied to more like memory and duty, like what should I do? Like what is my duty? What's the right thing to do? Extroverted sensing is going to be tied more to present moment. What does the physical environment look like? Maybe I make things beautiful. Maybe I'm a designer. Maybe I'm an interior decorator or an artist. They're going to be the makers, and those are the artisans. On the intuitive side of things, you have the rationals. Those are the NT types, the intuitive thinkers. They tend to be very pragmatic. While they are driven by thinking, it tends to be kind of out of the box thinking, kind of unconventional. Then you have the intuitive feelers, the idealist types. This is my grouping. We tend to be very people focused. We put people first above all else, and we have intuition and feeling as our top 2 functions. Sometimes it's helpful to see which temperament they are and to choose one of those 4 areas and then narrow it down from there to see what specific type you are. There's like a big debate in the typing community. I've heard a lot of intuitives say like sensors are inferior and vice versa. Like a lot of sensors say like intuitives have their heads in the clouds. This is false. We all need each other. We need a variety of cognition to make the world work. There's no inferior. Sensors are not better than intuitives. Intuitives are no better than sensors. We are just very different at our nature, and we all need each other. Hopefully this was helpful. Leave me a comment and let me know. Are you a sensor or an intuitive? Are you still confused? Are you trying to type someone and figure out if they're sensor or intuitive? I would love to hear from you. If you found this video useful, helpful, valuable, it would mean so much to me if you give it a thumbs up, leave me a comment, and if you would hit subscribe. This is a brand new channel, and it would mean the world to me to have you subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you're notified every time I post a new video. Thank you again for being here, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.